Alright, so YCS Providence just concluded, and this marks the first event with the newest core set Alliance Insight being legal. Now, as always, the three of us are here to report, so let's talk about everything that happened, because Alan is not the only newest thing about this YCS. They actually also announced new pricing for premier events. So let's take a look at that as well, and let's discuss whether or not we like it. Obviously, chime in with your thoughts, and if you were maybe at the event, you can feel free to share how your event went and your entire take on the meta. I would love to know what you guys think, but with that, let's hop into it. And of course, like the video if you enjoy it, and to show support for my two little buddies over here. So let me move them to the side. They are not going anywhere though, but I need to keep my hands free because we're gonna take a look at some pie charts, as always. So let us talk about top 32 for YCS Providence. Alliance Insight introduced some incredible new support for the decks that are most represented on this pie chart. Naturally, that's why they are the most represented. It's that paired together with the ban list that just happened, but even though the ban list took place, Ryzeal is still represented at 4 slots in this top 32 cut. Obviously, it is not as high of a representation as it was at previous events. Ryzeal was quite severely hindered on this ban list because it took many hits to consistency, which actually matters quite a lot. However, it received a new support card from Alliance Insight. It's only one though, whereas Malice and Mitsurugi, the two most represented decks, received so many broken support cards. We all kind of collectively just feel bad for Ryzeal at this point. So I do want to focus on both of the top decks, of course, but seeing as how they made it further in Top Cut, let's first discuss some of the odd choices over here that maybe didn't go as far in some cases, but are still definitely noteworthy. So let's talk about Blue Eyes. It's a deck that's incredibly decent, but does have some issues, and I understand why it's only represented at 1 slot. It is definitely not bad, but I do assume you have to have quite a fortunate event to be able to do well with Blue Eyes, because the consistency is just quite an issue, and it does get hurt by some non-engine. It is still a good contender, but the conversion rate cannot really be that high with Blue Eyes, unfortunately. Even though the Blue Eyes cards are nice, and the Primite cards are even better, but that's just the sad reality of things. So with that, let's also talk about Crystron Horus. The deck was piloted by Steven Santoli. And I do not want to go on a rant again like I always do when I talk about Fire Kings and Dinkabui, but sometimes someone is just an incredibly good player and they choose a deck because it's a good meta call, and they are also super strong with the deck. So they can pick a deck that's a bit more on the rogue-ish side and pilot it really, really well and do well with it. I do encourage you to look into this deck. It looks super fun. Also looks kind of complicated, but that's just Crystron for you. So if that floats your boat, cool. Yeah, like Steven Santoli usually picks very interesting decks, techs, and so on. So do try it out. Let me know how it goes. I think Crystron is an interesting contender. It is good, but it does lose to non-engine that people play to beat other top decks, which is quite a downside in my opinion. It's cool that you can play Horus though, because you don't really care about Bestios and Shifter as much anymore, which is great. But other than that, yeah, I don't know. Just let me know if you try it out. Again, I would be interested to see. And with that, let's move on to the next deck. Mermaid Atlantean is another deck only represented at 1 slot, which is quite understandable because the deck suffered a hit on the last ban list, which is Bahamut Shark being banned. Being able to go into Bahamut Shark and use its effect to special summon Totally Awesome early in the combo is super vital because you're able to be protected from pretty much anything that is threatening you, mainly Nibiru or whatever else may be a problem at that point. Mermail does not have an inherent issue with going second. It's also quite nice into hand traps, but not being able to protect yourself early on, I think, is quite bad for the deck. And I also think that a lot of Mermail players simply chose to pilot Malice instead because it is the superior combo deck. Or Mitsurugi, actually. I should probably just say both because we are definitely moving, or rather have entered, a combo-heavy format, and combo players are definitely going to choose the best combo deck to pilot. Each of them comes with a weakness, but I understand why they switched from Mermail to some other decks. With that in mind, I also want to address the lack of Memento. This came as a bit of a surprise to me, and I want to know you guys' thoughts because I assume it also has to do with the fact that I just mentioned, which is people just choosing other combo decks instead. But I don't think Memento is a bad choice, and I do know a lot of players also had quite high hopes for it in this next format because inherently Memento didn't really suffer any hits, nothing really changed with it. The meta just shifted. So that part is incredibly interesting to me. So I'm looking forward to seeing results of this next couple of weeks so I can see if people still take Memento to regionals and events and do well. I'm actually really eager for this Nats season to start so we can see some results. Let's talk about Kashtira Regenesis now. Only one player piloted this deck all the way to top 32, and it is a new archetype which synergizes well with Kashtira because of the attack stats, because that's pretty much how the deck functions. Kashtira cards are really good right now because Unicorn effectively deals with some of the most important extra deck monsters, which are usually one-ofs due to lack of space or them being limited, as is the case of Detonator. But being able to banish face down a Requiem, a Whitebinder, something of the sort. That's very, very powerful. And then you pair Regenesis with it, which is also a very decent archetype. It is also not as explored, I would say. And I'm eager to see if people either learn more about this deck and are able to consistently beat it and it falls off, or if people work on this deck more and it just continually improves. It's very interesting and a cool strategy. It's nice to see it do well, especially this being the first event with Allen being legal. So yeah, all in all, great accomplishment. And now let's talk about the last deck on this pie chart, which is Bestial Fiendsmith. It's a very classic deck of the last format. The reason why decks like these are kind of falling to the side is because we're in such a combo heavy format. That's just what the format is going to be looking like. And games end too quickly for the power of Fiendsmith and the sheer just usefulness of Fiendsmith to really shine. So that's the issue, definitely. And as for Ryzeal, since we are on the topic of it, obviously it got hit, but there is still two pure, one Fiendsmith, and one Heraldic Ryzeal present in this top cut. Now, Heraldic is part of this Ryzeal strategy because there are new cards in Alliance Insight as well. So some people pair this together. It's interesting. I don't think it was explored very much. Obviously, the set dropped literally 2 days ago. So yeah, that's Ryzeal for you. It's pretty much everything I already discussed. It's very tough to still do that well with the deck just because the other combo decks are incredibly, incredibly powerful. However, if you're Shumping, which he is such an amazing player, you are able to use Fiendsmith Ryzeal and pilot your way all the way to the finals with them, which is just so impressive. His opponent in the finals? Mitsurugi. Where's Malice, you ask? Knocked out in top 4. It really is not the day for Malice to win a YCS just yet, apparently. But let's not talk about Malice right now. We are going to get back to it. Let's talk about the eventual winner. It ended up being Mitsurugi. Now let's talk about Mitsurugi because it was highly represented. It had just incredible variants. People are playing it with Ogdoadic, but usually it's played with Ryzeal or even Fiendsmith. This deck received broken support in Alliance Insight, and people definitely put those cards to work. It made consistency better, it made the power level even bigger, the ceiling even higher, and it's just a combo deck that is able to pilot its way through plenty of interruption with all the new support cards. It's able to rely on Ryzeal or Fiendsmith or go for the pure route. Like, there is so much you're able to do with this deck. And I just think it is very interesting how it kind of fell to the side in the last format. But now people decided to pick it up again because the support really matters that much. It was even more represented than Malice on day one. And it's just a deck that is a huge threat in this format, in my opinion. And you do have to be prepped for it. It's incredibly tough to hand trap it because you need multiple hand traps, and the only one that's really effective by itself is Droll and Lockbird. However, it doesn't always do the trick, and sometimes, especially if they're playing it with Ryzeal, they're just able to end on a detonator and you have to deal with it, which you cannot do a lot of times. Also, if they have access to the Fiendsmith engine and the Axis does not get hurt by Droll, it's not like Engraver into track getting drolled, more like two monsters make Moon, make Requiem. If you do that, you don't really care about Droll, you're just playing your Fiendsmith side of things, which Fiendsmith as a supplementary engine is still broken. So Mitsurugi has got so much going for it, and I am super afraid of it, as you all should be. And we'll see just how much havoc it causes in this format. And now to round this part of the video off, let's talk about Malice, because I know you're all here for it. So I believe there's two groups of people out there, right? There's the Malice enthusiasts, there's everyone else that just hates Malice a lot. With the new support, this deck is a huge threat right now, because what the support does for it is it makes the banning of Link Decoder completely irrelevant. It helps you play under Lancia. You have multiple extenders to push through. You clogging on normal summons is not really an issue as much anymore because you have March Hare, which effectively gets those normal summons out of your hand. This support is everything and more. And they got a new Link 5 just randomly to top it off. If you want to play it, if you don't want to run Topologic Bomber Dragon, but you can do that even. It's crazy. I would encourage you to look into Malice and all the different variants and everything people are going to be doing, because there's plenty of things to still be done and plenty of things to be explored. So you can either play it or just try and learn it, even if you don't play it, because you're gonna have to beat it repeatedly at all the top events, like big events, regionals, Nats, all of that you do attend, because it's a broken deck. And even though it did not win a YCS just yet in all its history of existence, there's bound to be one win sometime in the future, I assume. Now let's shift gears a bit and let us talk about the new pricing that was announced. So for TCG territories at YCS and WCQ events, each duelist that makes day 2 will receive a prize card from a pool of 10 cards. You can see the pool of cards on the screen. Some of the most noteworthy, in my opinion, is Pot of Desires. Dante is just such a historically important card, as is Charge of the Light Brigade. There's Shaddoll Fusion. Some of these cards, honestly, are chosen, I don't know, I almost want to say randomly, because some of them don't really make sense to me, but it's a very cool idea. I do like Gale. It's nice, right? It's got the little stamp with the YCS logo on it, or the WCQ logo, respectively. And with that, let's move on to other pricing I also want to talk about, which is when you make it to top 32, you are able to receive a beautiful, super rare card trooper. I love Edison, you guys. It's just, I think getting a card trooper is just incredible. So yes. Also, the prizes do stack up. So once you make it to top 16, you are able to receive an ultra rare Effect Veiler. Now, if you have seen any discourse on social media, any videos, mine as well, we have talked about this Veiler at length in the community because the OCG received this as a prize card. I just think it's great. We're actually receiving something that OCG has in quite a short period of time after they announced it, since this will be in effect, quote unquote, after the NAWCQ and Euros. It's very, very cool. And after those two events, once this goes into effect, they will also apparently announce some new pricing. So I hope all goes according to plan and we receive some very, very good price support. But I must say, this is a step in the right direction. I would tweak the card pool of the random cards you're able to receive for day 2, but you know, we're always gonna find something to complain about. So with that, I also want to give props to the stream for always keeping it just fun and fresh for the most part. They always have backup feature matches. They've got a previous YCS champ player interviews. There's pack openings, new theme introductions, etc. So that's great. I genuinely feel like they listen to the community, at least to an extent, and do try and improve in the areas that they can improve in. So that's just awesome, honestly. And with that, I would love for you guys to share your thoughts about the event, the format, the pricing, all of it. If you like the video and if you enjoy me doing, well, us doing these little reports, of course, make sure to give the video a like. And yeah, thank you for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.